continuing with our comparison between the Corsa SXi and the Fiesta ST line. We've done the interior of the ST line. Now we're having a look at the interior of the SXi
Plus. And that's the important bit. Anyway.
So what's the difference between this and an absolute Boggo standard?
Well, the
Corsa?
Boggo standard Corsa of the time was the Life. That was the sort of the base model.
Yep.
And it wasn't dead basic, but it was quite basic compared, well, I suppose compared to this in a way. Anyway, so yeah, that was the base model. This is the SXi Plus, which was basically, thank you, a run-out model of the Corsa C before the Corsa D came out. Yeah. I think they only made it for a year or so, something like that, last year production. Anyway, so yes, it's SSI Plus. The main differences, well, over a Life model anyway, you've got a bit more equipment, obviously.
Yeah.
So you've got the alloys on the outside, 15-inch alloys. You've got what I think they called them projector headlamps.
Yeah.
With the more sporty look at the
They
front.
do actually make a difference to projector headlamps as well.
Yeah,
So
it is quite good actually. No, yeah, they're not bad. Also, you've got a few more luxuries inside. The Life model only came with a driver's airbag, which has got a passenger one as well. Yeah. You've got front fog lights. The Life one obviously only has rear ones because more sporty look, of course.
I think a lot of them though only had rear ones as well.
Yeah, a lot of them only had rear ones. Yeah, even some with alloys just had rear ones.
Well, I know our our 1.2 twin port only has rear fog lamps, not front.
Yeah. Same with my brother's Corsa as well. That only has rear ones. Inside, obviously, like I say, you've got a slightly more sporty look to the steering wheel with this sort of perforated leather. Same on the handbrake gaiter and the gear gaiter, and obviously a slightly silver trim on here, on both them as well, and on the dash.
Now I've noticed with the silver here, it's different to certainly to our 1.2 twin port, which we looked at last episode. Different material, different finish, so it's more of a silvery look rather than
more of a slightly sportier look, I suppose it's meant to sort of be into it. And obviously you've got your white dials, of course, as well.
Yeah, I do actually like the white dials,
which are quite nice. Yeah, again, just to emphasise it as a slightly sportier car. The SXi Plus is a bit of a difference over the standard SXi, which again has all these features.
Yeah.
The SXi Plus basically adds the tinted rear windows. They're factory tinted, not completely black, but just slightly darker. Yeah. And also these lovely half leather seats.
Oh yeah.
On the SXi, it's just pure cloth.
And that goes straight into the back as well.
Straight into the back, leather headrests as well, of course. And in the middle section there, it's nice stitching, which I remember from my friend's car when he had it. Had one of these new. And a slightly different material actually in the inside of the seats as well.
Yeah.
They're roughly the only differences from an SXi to an SSI Plus.
Now I'd say the door cards are certainly different to the one we have.
Yes, they're leather as well. That's another difference on the SXi Plus. Yeah. Because the SXi, they're just cloth.
And in a bog standard
Life or something
like that, you'd end up with the cloth interior anyway.
Yeah.
I noticed it's that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, as I said in the twin port video, I'm pretty sure that Vauxhall got a job lot of these things. Couldn't sell them on to anybody else, so ended up stuffing as many as they could in their own cars because they're just everywhere.
Yeah, these CD30 radios.
Yeah.
They're in Corsas, Astras, Zaphiras, you name it. They're in them. The only difference on this one, like we just mentioned, is it's silver trim on this spec.
On the front panel, yeah.
You'll notice, quite surprising actually, there's no aircon on this car.
Yeah, which surprised me, especially with a couple of years earlier, the twin port 1.2 came with either, because to lift it up from the standard 1.2, it came with either aircon or a sunroof.
Yes, both of which were optional on this car, and neither of which it has. So yeah, they were both. If I remember rightly, I'm going back now. I'm showing my age now, guys. They were both about £500 each as an option.
I can remember when aircon was a £1,500 option on the car.
I'm saying nothing.
Yes, I was around with Noah.
But yes,
Martin's older than me.
it's actually quite rare as well to see one with the optional aircon. There weren't that many people who, is another 500 quid and we'll have
But
that.
yet a lower down car, because bear in mind by the time this was being made, all the cars were twin ports for the 1.2s.
Yeah.
There's the original 1.2.
I think they put it on yours basically as a sort of a standout feature.
For the when the twin port first came out.
Yeah.
Ours was one of the first twin ports.
Yeah.
Certainly among the first year.
So I think that was the case. That we also actually have on this one, and before I forget, some nice steering wheel controls, which my brother's very jealous about.
We've got those on ours as well. I think all the ones with these had those controls.
Yes, because his had a tape player.
Yes.
Flower pump tape player.
But he's also got, instead of having the 2-din unit, you've got the stereo and the storage compartment underneath. On the video, by the look of it.
I can't remember.
Because that's a double din unit.
Yeah.
That's the same. That's the same. But I think it's.
I know he's got
stereo.
a tape player with an iPod adapter, so that he can play music and stuff. Obviously, electric mirrors. I think they're on yours, aren't they?
Yes.
Electric mirrors, yeah. And I believe. I'm trying to think now. I can't remember if they had them on the Life or not. I don't think.
No, they didn't.
They did have electric windows on the Life.
Yeah.
So, by this point in production, Vauxhall had ditched wind-up windows altogether. But there we go.
Yeah.
But yes, they're the main differences really between this and a more base model car.
One thing I've noticed, I mean, my knees are quite far up. I mean, you've got the child seat in the back, so my knees are quite far up on here. But even so, with your driving position, there's still quite a bit of room in the back.
It's not bad, to be honest.
In fact, with your I'd say if you were sat in Martin's car, you'd probably have to move his seat back a little bit, not much. And yet, there's more room in between here than there is in the Fiesta.
Yeah.
But your boot's smaller.
You have to make compromises somewhere. I think what helps in this car is these seats are actually quite thin.
Yeah.
They don't take a lot of room. Modern cars seem to have more of a...
There's a lot of padding in them.
More padding, yeah. Having said that, very comfortable. I've been in much more expensive cars than this that don't have as comfortable seats. I struggle to get a nice comfortable position in. The Mark 6 Astra that we had featured on Overdrive, the blue one, I did struggle to get a comfortable seating position in this because it was very bolstered.
Yeah.
But this
isn't too bad.
It's lovely, yeah. And I think if you didn't have a coat on, it would be even better.
I've got coat, jumper, shirt, also.
Plenty of storage.
Layers.
Nice big door bins there.
Yeah.
Cubbies down here, storage there. A couple of things here for the air freshener. Fits in just right. So there we go.
I think that's supposed to be a cup holder.
Yes, but I wouldn't really want to use it
as one. There, no.
I don't think it's going to hold much.
Oh, yep, it's got the cup holder in there.
Cup holder, glove box.
Like the old Astras used to have that. Yeah.
And I always think, guys, and we mentioned this with the Mark 5 Astra video a year or so back now, I can't remember what it was.
But that's your other ad.
Yeah. The other ad, yeah. Very nice, it's different dashboard design, but it's a similar philosophy. This got sort of criticised, I think, when it was new for having quite a basic looking dash. But actually I think it's a very, very well designed dash. It's a good looking, it's not over styled. You've got everything you need there, all your controls are all clearly laid out, all your ventilation controls, your radio. It's just right for the car. I think they got it bang on with the styling of the dash. You got a little display up here with the sort of 80s looking
alarm clock number, alarm clock display. Yeah.
Typical Vauxhall of the era. I didn't expect anything.
But then again, I mean, this was a crossover between the Mark IV and the Mark V Astra.
Yeah.
So this effectively came into its life when the Mark IV Astra, which I
was in production,
absolutely loathed, was in production, and then went out of production when the Mark V Astra was well into its production run. And by comparison, it is quite plain. But the thing is, the Mark V Astra and that generation all started to show a bit of a cheapness to it, because your dash, your main pod there, was exactly the same whether you were in a Corsa, whether you were in an Astra, whether you were in the Vectra, or the Zafira. They were all identical.
Yeah.
And the one thing they didn't have was the water temperature. They didn't have the water temperature gauge on.
Well, we do have an engine temperature gauge in this car, luckily.
Well, that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
You didn't have it.
No.
It wasn't there. You had your rev counter, speedo, fuel. That were it.
But we do have one in this. Yeah.
Yep.
But yes, it's not a bad interior.
Yeah,
and for the size of the car, actually, it's actually quite practical, and it's fairly easy to get in the back, which is a complaint that I had with my newer Corsa that I had a year or so ago, the Corsa D, a 14 plate one. Was the seat mechanism was really, really awkward.
Yeah.
And the seat was obviously a lot thicker, so access was much more difficult than it is in this. So yeah, progress isn't always made where you think it's made. Maybe Vauxhall should have just taken a leaf out of their own book on that one. That was one of my very few complaints of that car, was seat access. Even for a 3-door, it was awkward. This is not bad at all.
Now, if I was going to, I mean, this is obviously subjective. We've never actually tried this. Unfortunately, we can't try this at the moment due to a slight issue with cars. I would actually say, because the Mark 8 Fiesta, they've done a bit of cheapness of Ford and moved the B pillar. The B pillar is not as far back as it is in the Mark 7 3-door. I'd probably say this may actually even be a bit easier to get in and out of the back on, but fortunately we can't try that at the moment because Martin's car is in the garage. And I'm not sure if, well, you can't see it really, but there is actually a Nissan Duke in the driveway.
He's not a fan, let's just put it that way. Let's be kind and say he's not a fan of the car.
But that'll be cleared up later on.
Yes.
The thing I do like, I mean, I do quite like the styling.
Yes, it's got some nice touches, and that's just quite a nice gear shift to hold as well.
It's just a shame it's worn over the years, but you know, the thing is, this is what, 14 years old?
14 years old now.
Martin's is 18 months, going on for 2 years old, and is probably showing similar sorts of wear.
On the gear shift, isn't it? Yeah. I think we can probably forgive it for that. It does give you an idea, remind you actually how old these cars are getting now. This is one of the very last produced in October 2006. I think they'd even started making the newer shape one by that point. It's already 14 years old, so it does give you an idea. But it also goes to show how many you still see on the road. Yeah,
you do see a lot of these.
If you compare it to, say, the Rover 25, which we've featured, which don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of.
I'd probably say the 25 handled better than this.
No doubt about it.
And it also had more interior room than this. But
in terms of longevity,
it's I mean, it was based on a car the generation before as well.
Yeah.
It's based on the R8, which shows how good and advanced the R8 platform was. But
it also goes to show how much Rover milked it, didn't they? But you're a big fan of that car. But in terms of longevity, at least, I'm ashamed to admit it, but the Corsa does have it licked on that one.
The thing I noticed as well when we did the ride test as well, it smoothed out a lot of the bumps a lot better. Even though this has got stiffened suspension compared to the standard Corsa, it handled bumps a hell of a lot better. And we live in Kirklees. You don't know bumps until you've driven around Kirklees.
They are particularly bad at the moment as well with the weather we've had. Absolutely atrocious state of the road, but that's another issue.
It is.
But yes, generally speaking, nice little car. I've spent a little bit of money on it so far, just bringing it up to scratch now. I think it probably should have been when I bought it. Again, another issue. But generally speaking, pretty happy.
Good.
It's developed a slight fault with the bonnet catch, which will get dealt with as soon as possible. Other than that, I'm very happy with it, yeah.
Good. And that's really the interior of the Corsa C.